morning and welcome back to Brunch. I am Jewel Green and I'm holding on for J-Soul. She'll be back with us tomorrow, Friday, right? The start of the weekend, but just my secret. Thursday's your new Friday, right?
Okay.
So we're starting the weekend today, right? But J-Soul will be back with us tomorrow, which is Friday. You can expect to see her beautiful smiling face here tomorrow. But with us today, we have a special guest, and he's here to talk to us about a very important resource, especially to Tobago, more so than Tobago than Trinidad, because of the marine reef, right? We're talking about the reef as well as the marine life. And we have with us here, this is the Barry Lovelace.
Barry Lovelace.
And you are?
Well, I'm currently the Marine Park Manager associated with the Department of Marine Resources and Fisheries.
Marine Resources and Fisheries in the THA. So if you did not know before, the THA has a department that deals with the marine resources and fisheries, right? Just want to make sure you keep note of that.
Yes.
And if you have any questions that pertain to that, make sure you contact Barry Lovelace and he's going to give you all the information that you need. But with us today, right, this conversation we're going to have today is really going to be dealing with some of the important issues that are facing the reef and the marine life around Tobago. Tell us about your work with the department that you're in, the Marine Resources and Fisheries. How did you get started in this?
Well, that's a loaded question. Well, first let me say what is it, afternoon?
Well, I think so, yeah.
Near afternoon. Good afternoon to the listeners.
Yes.
How did I get started? Well, I'll try to put it in bullet points.
Yes.
Right? Originally, I would have had interest in doing medicine.
Okay.
Right? Went to well, at that time, Caribbean Union College.
Yes.
Right? But during my latter years of on that stream, right, one of the professors took us on a course. It was marine biology and marine zoology.
Right.
Now, the third part was in Trinidad, and the practical part was in Tobago. We spent 1 week on the western side and another week on the eastern side looking at all things marine.
Right.
And I was so blown away by what I experienced. I was like, this is where I live. Yeah, this is when having not been so exposed before.
Yes.
Right? I went back, and it was always to the back of my mind. But after I left college and I went teaching, taught at Bishop's for a little while. And then an opportunity came to do natural resource management at Cave Hill UE. So I said, you know what? Let me look into that, and
Barry,
never turn back.
I'm so every time you speak, I'm so blown away. I'll tell you why, guys.
Yeah.
Everything Barry did, I did.
Oh, really?
I started to do a degree in biology at CUC. Right?
Okay,
because I was going into medicine. You know the old people there. It's only a few professions, right?
But I'm lawyer.
So they told me, Jewel, you're going to be a doctor. So I headed down there, right?
Okay.
And I was doing my degree in biology. Yes, only to realize halfway through, I didn't want to be a doctor. So, and I headed into psychology, and guess where I went? Cave Hill.
Cave Hill?
Yes.
Well, we probably should exchange notes a little bit.
We know both campuses, right? Yeah. So I identify with you in terms of a shift, a pivoting from your passion, where you probably were directed, and then you realize this is where I really want to be.
And then career-wise now, after I'd have taught and so on, when I came back from that study, I started working at the Book Reef Trust.
Right.
And I would have spent 10 years there. Right. And while I was there, that's where I was really immersed in terms of marine science, and
your passion,
it was wonderful.
For that.
Yes. I served there in many different capacities. Did as a marine biologist, as a communications person for the organization, and so on. I did a lot of education while I was there too, dealing with from university right down to preschool, having to interpret the information.
It's so important what you're saying, Barry, because we need more persons in our local space to get into these types of areas and studies, right? Because we understand how important the reef is to us, right? And if we have more, don't wait for marine biologists to come from overseas to tell you the reef bleaching. Right? Don't wait for them to come and say, don't kill out all the parrotfish because they're turning the reef into sand. They're the reason we have coral reef and the sand and all of that, right? Don't wait for that. You have Barry here, right? Head into those studies. You don't only have to be doctors and lawyers.
I'd want to encourage persons. And as you say that, while I was there, we have this program, Season and Sands, right? It was started way back in 2002. Right? I would have been a part of that program up till 2010. Every year we'd have had it.
Yes.
And I think it turned out quite a few persons oriented some young minds towards that marine, not just marine, but environmental professions. I see a lot of them now, professionals in their various,
That is so fantastic. We really, really need our local people.
And the last bullet point on that, after that 10-year stint, I would have gone over now to Environment Tobago.
Right.
And did that 8 years there. Well, of course, if you know Environment Tobago, they are more terrestrial and mangrove and so on. So I could have covered the whole, I did marine and terrestrial over my 20-year career.
Yes, wow.
So that's my story in a nutshell as to how I got into the space.
So I'm hearing that you have some deep roots and passion and love for the environment.
My whole better part of my life has been dedicated. I call myself the NGO Jesus. I have sacrificed my life for the non-governmental.
He sent his only son, he named Barry. I like that one. Barry, listen, tell us about this, this idea about the reef. Talk to us about what public perception is about the reef and what what's really happening with the reef, right? Because a lot of people think, the reef is this play area, right? We just go in and splash about without care for, tell us what's happening.
The thing about it, most people would be familiar with Buko Reef. It's famous, the famous Buko Reef. And of course, rightly so, it's a special place. I mean, it's the largest system of that kind in the nation, in Trinidad. In fact, I would dare say in the Caribbean. It's the best example in the Caribbean where you have, well, the term they use is a contiguous related ecosystems.
Really?
Right? Where you have, on the landward side, you have the mangrove wetlands, running straight into the seagrass ecosystem, and further out to sea, you now have the reef system.
Yes, with the corals, right.
In Tobago, right, it's large and accessible. You don't normally find those two combinations in other places where the reef is that large and that accessible.
Yes, being able to actually go and
you could walk out. You could actually walk out from Pigeon Point or wherever,
I went on a boat ride once, Barry, and somebody on the boat got vexed, and they cut off the boat and walked in. I was like, I say, he gonna drown. And my man,
no, it's a nice area there. And
he just walked right up, and the water never got higher past,
and
a certain point.
And it's for that reason you have features such as the Nylon Pool, where persons could come out and bathe in the middle of the ocean. Quite a unique experience and so. And of course, it being a reef, reefs are habitat to many species. The biodiversity is enormous compared to. It's comparable to the rainforest. In fact, there are debates as to which is more among scientists, which has more biodiversity. Right? So we have that.
Yes.
And the special thing about Tobago, we have both. We have forests and we have two of the most biodiverse ecosystems on the planet. We have a piece of both. Right?
And the wonderful thing about what you said is that is one of the unique qualities that make Trinidad and Tobago unique. Tobago brings its own uniqueness to the union, and that is so fantastic. So, listen, we're going on a break, Barry.
Already?
I have plenty things to ask you. Plenty. We're coming back, Barry.
We ain't even past the introduction yet.
We have plenty things to talk about. We're coming back, Barry. Listen, guys, we're going on a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to be speaking to Mr. Barry Lovelace from the Marine Resources and Fisheries Department of the THA. He's going to be talking to us about some important consultations that are coming up. Please stay tuned with us. We'll be back in a few. Thank you for being back with us, all those across Trinidad and Tobago and across the Caribbean. We're speaking here with Mr. Barry Lovelace from the Marine Resources and Fisheries Department at the THA, and he is talking to us today about the do's and don'ts of the Marine Park. Listen, Barry and I are having such a good time, right? During the break, we were talking about CUC and all sorts of fantastic things.
Notes.
You know, but Barry isn't here for us to lime today, right? Barry and us, we're going to lime another time.
Yeah, I had a plan of lime.
We're going to lime another time, but he's here to talk to us about the reef. Barry, tell us, before we went to break, you were talking to us about some of the other reefs.
Right, yes. I was making a big splash about Buku Reef.
Yes, tell us.
But the thing is, I want to make the point before we move on from that point, that yes, though Buku Reef is as special and as unique as it is, there are other reefs around Tobago.
Yes.
Second most people might know Speyside, and then Charlottesville. And so, but all on the eastern, on that coast, the Caribbean side, right?
So what,
Arnos Vale, Culloden, all that side.
Right,
reefs. They're scattered all along that coast.
But they're not accessible.
They're fairly accessible, by diving and so on. But and we even have reef on the Atlantic side. But you see, those on the Atlantic side are less known. It's deeper. It's rougher. Yes. But
when
less
we say Atlantic side, that's like Lambo side, all of that.
Yeah, Mount St. George, that coast, Roxburgh, that coastline there.
Okay.
Right? So we have reefs there too.
Yeah.
Right?
Barry, before they tell me I had to come off,
yeah.
Tell us about these do's and don'ts of the marine
the do's and don'ts.
reef.
So in that respect, I want to jump to talking about the user policy. I work with it just to make sure, if I need to a little backup. The Buku Reef Marine Park user policy.
Right.
Now, that has some history, but I won't go into that much. Right? More than to say that this policy was accepted and approved by the Executive Council of the THA back in 2016.
Right, so this is an old document.
Yes, the former administration. Right? The background or the foundation upon which this policy stands is the main law that would have been enacted in 1973.
Right.
It's called the Marine Areas Enhancement and Preservation Act of 1973.
Okay.
Basically what it says, that nobody, in layman terms, nobody not supposed to remove anything from the reef, nor set foot on the reef, except they have permission of the minister or from somebody who he would have designated with that authority.
Yes.
Right? Now later on, 1990, we'd have the THA Act 40. Right? And on that now we have the 5th schedule, which names marine areas as part of the jurisdiction under the control of the Tobago House of Assembly.
Yes.
Right? So presently, right, that authority has now been conferred to the Division of Food Security, Marine Resources, Environment and Sustainable Development.
Right.
I have to breathe.
So we need a drink of wine after that. We need to wet the throat.
You have to breathe every time you see that.
You know?
And of course, the Fisheries Department is under that. And now we have the Marine Areas Unit, which is on...
Which secretary this is under?
That is Miss the Honorable Natisha Panton.
Right.
So she has a large portfolio.
Yeah, this is a lot.
So sometimes, and that's the thing, so sometimes these issues may tend to get lost, in the whole, there's agriculture to see about and this and that.
Fisheries and everything.
So sometimes it tends to get lost. Right? So that's the Department of Marine Resources and Fisheries, now the authoritative custodian of that law, that legally protected area. Right? The only legally protected marine space in the country. Right. So we have that responsibility. And so
imagine we have the marine, which is the reef, which is a protected area, and the rainforest, which is a protected area in Tobago.
The two very biodiverse systems. And so that would have been, the law would have been in 73. Right. Then later on, the IMA, the Institute of Marine Affairs, would have developed a management plan. That is in 1995. Right. A management plan for the area. But nothing happened. It just was on paper, the management, the recommendations and so on. Right? So it's on that background that this document was formulated and approved by the 2016 Executive Council. Again, still on paper.
Yes.
It wasn't until 2020. And of course, 2020, we had lockdowns and so on going on.
Yeah,
in fact, during that period, there was the closure to the reef. Operations on the reef was closed.
Everything closed.
Right. So the department...
You couldn't even go KFC.
Exactly. So the department at that time saw the opportunity to actualize the user policies and put infrastructure in place, a permit system, right? And so that was done, all right? And so we'd have communicated with the operators. It was a phased approach, and still is. That is still the strategy, to have a phased approach, right? Whereby they would have begun with the boat operators, and they would have registered. They got cooperation, and they would have registered. Now the registration process, I mean, it has several layers to it. The boat have to be, worthy.
Yes.
So the maritime services will go and do that passport, similar to our licensing office we do for cars and so on. So that's their role. The persons operating the boat have to be qualified. They have to have the captain license. The crew has to be qualified, and so on, and these kind of things. They have to have insurance. So once they have meet all these criteria, the department now issues a permit to say, well, yes, we could allow you to operate inside the boundaries for which we are custodian.
Right, because they would have been educated about the do's and don'ts that you're going to tell us now. Exactly.
No, but remember, the Buku Reef, for all those reasons we just pointed out, is a tourism attraction.
Yes.
And especially local tourism, or Chinese coming out, like the main thing, and so first thing is to visit the reef and so on. So there's that. So we have tourism objectives to meet, but we also have conservation objectives. We cannot deplete the ecological character of the same thing that we enjoy.
Yes.
On top of that, in 2005, this is on a global scale now.
Yes.
That area was designated as a Ramsar site under the Wetland Convention.
What is that? What's Ramsar?
Well, Ramsar is a wetland.
I don't know anybody know Ramsar?
It's like somebody
we don't know him.
Right? But it's a convention that happened in Iran. Ramsar is the capital in Iran.
Okay.
So the convention would have happened there some years ago, and they had this treaty, right, that nations will now sign on to take care of, if they have
marine areas,
resources of that sort of international noteworthiness and importance.
Right.
They sign on and commit to doing certain things to conserving the ecological character of that area on behalf of the world.
Right.
So Trinidad and Tobago, we signed on to the Ramsar Convention in 2005, saying that we will take care of the wetlands. Well, being the reef. Now the reef is a wetland, huh? Right? That's another story. But you'll invite me back, right?
Of course. Right. And then we'll have wine, Barry.
Yes, man. or brunch.
Yes. I love it.
Right? So it's that important.
Yes, very much so.
And so we have to balance those two objectives, the tourism, and we begin tourism. Well, that's where we're tending to go now. And I even want to use this platform to appeal to the Executive Council to meet and have a discussion in terms of where we want to go, in terms of the use of the Buku Reef Marine Park. How it is we want, how are we going to balance it? Right, with the tourism objectives, with the conservation objectives. I think all the operators on the reef agree to that, because they themselves see that it cannot be a free-for-all situation out there where everybody just jump in and deplete the resource.
Exactly. Coming from.
Right?
And there was an interview done with I think he's the president, I hope I said it right, he's the president of the Boat Owners Association, Frankie.
Yes, that's Frankie. Frankie, yes. I saw that, yes. And he spoke some things, and I agree with much of what he said.
I heard a lot of sense coming from him, and he was talking about, the fact that, the reef isn't as much of an attraction as it used to be, meaning people not really that interested in going to it or seeing it as much. And that in my mind is helpful, right? Let them go somewhere else, because the reef needs rehabilitation now.
The caveat to that, because what we see happening or the trending now is to just have parties, want to have parties on the reef.
And the nylon pool, they want to party there. And
is that what we really want? That's the question. But how much of that can the reef really sustain?
What about the nylon pool? Is that where the reef is as well? Is the nylon
pool?
Well,
that's part of the whole complex. But that where the nylon pool is called a lagoon aspect. You don't have corals there per se, it's more sand. And now it's been kind of taken over with seagrass and so on. So the nice space.
I've seen the seagrass.
Right, it's been getting smaller and smaller, even as our next discussion too. Right? Because it's a complex. In fact, one of the authorities he termed it the Buku Reef, the Buku Reef complex. Because there are so many systems to consider within that
Barry, they're telling me I have to go.
Oh my. Well, certainly, I mean, we have to come back. But before I go, I just want to put it out there that right now, the department, right?
Yes.
The Marine Areas Unit, the Department of Marine Resources and Fisheries, the Division of Food Security.
Yes.
We are at present doing, preparatory work, right, to have consultations where we're hoping early next year with different stakeholders.
When you say early, probably first quarter?
Yes, first quarter next year. Early, from January, I would want, January, right, to start that. But the different users of the reef tour, the boat operators, even the vendors who think they have them and have a discussion, because that's a big problem there now. Persons describing it as a shanty town where everybody feel like could go up and just put up a tent, and to galvanize and sell food, and they don't have facilities there for that. So even the stakeholders within the THA, the Department of Health, the law enforcement stakeholders, the police, Coast Guard, and so on. We've already started having discussions, but more of it in a structured way, and make some sense to how we want to manage that space.
Barry, leave a number for them, please, because I know people heard this interview and they're going to say, oh gosh, I want more information. Leave a number with them so they could contact you.
I'm tempted to leave my personal number, but I'll resist that temptation. I'll leave the
he's a friendly guy.
the department number, right? 639-4354, right? 435
again.
639-4354.
Yeah. Listen, guys, call that number for more information. There's going to be public consultations early next year in the first quarter of 2024, and they're going to be talking to stakeholders. They're going to be asking stakeholders to come. And remember, stakeholders are you and me, right? We are all stakeholders in this marine environment, making sure that while we enjoy it, we conserve it. And that's what Barry is here. Mr. Lovelace is here talking about with us today. And we want to thank you for sticking with us. We want to thank those who are environmentally minded. Please keep your brothers and sisters, your neighbors in check. We want to make sure we have a wonderful tomorrow for our children, right? For the next generation. It starts with us. It starts with conservation. Call that number and you're going to be getting some more information about these stakeholder consultations that are going to be happening 2024, early 2024, and they are going to be discussing the use and those do's and don'ts and what should be happening, what is happening, what isn't happening with the reef. Barry, where can we see this policy? If somebody wanted to get, where can we see this?
Yeah, you can call and request a policy, a
copy and then collect it.
Yes.
Call the number if you want
and that will be
policy.
part. And mind you, you as a media, the media is a major stakeholder in terms of getting the information out there.
Exactly.
Yes. So, I mean, it's been such a pleasure being here.
Yes,
I don't mind coming back sometime soon, right?
Same here.
So
guys,
I'm getting the word out.
We're going on a quick break. Right? Thank you, Mr. Lovelace, for being here. And he is from the Marine Resources and Fisheries Department in the THA. And he was here to tell us about the do's and don'ts of the marine area. And there's a policy, public use policy. Call the number he gave. Rewind, right? And you're going to get the number, call it and get that policy in hand so you can attend that public consultation with some knowledge and you won't just be asking redundant questions, right? Not that we don't want redundant questions, but just saying come forearmed, right? Get the policy in hand, read it, and have some information. We're heading into our Tobago trivia question. Again, that question is 1961 to 1964. The Scarborough Secondary School was called by what name? Again, that question is 1961 to 1964, the Scarborough Secondary School was called by what name? Go in the Googler, type that in, come back with an answer for us people. And if the Googler doesn't give you that answer, go and ask a neighbor, ask a friend, ask a cousin, ask somebody and give us an answer today. You'll give us no answer yesterday, right? And that was Raymond Lacroix. He was the first man to swim between Tobago and Trinidad. But we want to know between 1961 and 64, what was the name of Scarborough Secondary School during that time? We're going on a quick break. Go and find the answer and come back for us.